Hello. I want to talk about account abstraction today. So as a bit of background, normal blockchains, typical blockchains today have two types of accounts. One is called the externally owned account. That is the account that is controlled by a single private key. And then there is the smart contract accounts, which are controlled by smart contract bytecodes. So the thing to know here is that only externally owned accounts can initiate transactions. Smart contracts cannot initiate transactions. And the reason for that comes down to how blockchains authenticate transactions. Authentication means the blockchain needs to make sure that the transaction comes from the rightful owner of the account instead of some impersonator instead. And the way blockchains authenticate transactions is by requiring that each transaction be accompanied by a cryptographic signature, and the blockchain will verify that the signature is valid and comes from the public key associated with the account. So we need a private key to sign signatures in order to initiate transactions. Smart contracts don't have private keys, so they cannot initiate transactions. So why is this a problem? Well, because EOAs kind of sucks. I'm going to give a few reasons. First of all, if you lose your seed phrase or private key, there's no way to recover it. You permanently lose access to your account. If you leak your seed phrase to someone else, there's no way to revoke it. If you suspect that your seed phrase have been lost, well, there's no way to change the seed phrase or private key associated with your account. And above all, the EOA is not programmable, so you cannot put new features, new security features, more usability features into it. It's just not possible. So these are all the things you can already do in Web 2, right? You can recover your password, you can reset password, and frankly, if Web 3 accounts cannot achieve the same level of security as Web 2 accounts, then I don't think Web 3 will ever be adopted, right? So we need to fix this. And the fix that was suggested in the Ethereum community is called account abstraction. So there are a few meanings of account abstraction. It includes things such as adding new features. It includes kind of abstracting away the typical crypto account experience from users. And we can also build richer features into accounts. So there are a number of different account abstraction solutions. One, I would call it, is called the fake AA solutions. An example of this is EIP 4337. In these fake solutions, I call them fake because they don't actually let smart contract accounts send transactions. What they do instead is they have a separate mempool. There is a normal mempool for normal transactions, and there is a separate mempool for smart contract transactions. Smart contract accounts will broadcast their transactions into this new mempool, and then there comes a type of actor called the bundler that grabs transactions from that separate mempool, sign it, and insert the new transaction into the traditional mempool. And there are a number of drawbacks related to this approach. Well, the good thing is that they don't change the virtual machine logic, so it doesn't break anything, which is good. However, it relies on off-chain infrastructure, which is the separate mempool. It relies on third-party actors, which is the bundler, and it comes with tremendous technical complexity. So this picture on the left is from a Twitter thread explaining how 4337 works. I mean, just look at it. It's super complex. And there are a number of unsolved questions, such as how do we deal with gas fees, which is kind of tricky. So the solution I present here is implemented as a Cosmos SDK module called X abstract account. So the way it works is it actually changes the transaction authentication logics. Instead of verifying the cryptographic signature, we do something else, right? So how we do it? Well, remember, our accounts are smart contracts, so we can simply program our transaction authentication logics in the contract, and instead of verifying the transactions at the chain level, we simply call the contract. We're going to call the contract right before we're executing that transaction. we are providing the contract with what the transaction is, what is the credentials provided by the sender of the contract, and some other infos. And the contract will run that authentication logic. If it fails, it throws an error telling the chain to reject it. If it is successful, the chain proceeds to execute the transaction. So just have a brief summary. In my competing solutions, I call them Band-Aid solutions because they don't fix the broken account model, but rather they build new infrastructures on top of it, trying to cover up the deep flaws it has. Well, my solution fundamentally revamps the account model and the transaction authentication logics. The traditional solutions relies on off-chain infrastructure. My solution does not rely on infrastructure. It's purely on-chain. Traditional methods rely on third-party actors. My method does not rely on third-party actors. Traditional methods have significant technical complexity. My solution is very minimalist. And there are a few additional benefits. It can be added to any CosmWasm-enabled chain with less than 100 lines of code change. It doesn't break any existing thing. Anything that has used to work will continue to work. You can change your account type simply by migrating the contracts. Migrating contracts, upgrading contracts in CosmWasm is extremely easy, much easier than EVM. Anybody can do it. Let's skip this. I'm going to show you guys a few use cases. You can build accounts that can rotate the key associated with it. I have a YouTube demo for it. You can build accounts that have alternative key types, right? Here I have a demo for using Ethereum key and Ethereum signatures for Cosmos transactions. You can add a one-time password, such as Google Authenticator or YubiKey to your account. I have a demo for that. You can build OSZ grants into your account. I have a demo for that. And I just want to show you why CosmWasm is a superior framework. I implemented OSZ in about 300 lines of code, while the same solution in Cosmos SDK implemented in the Go language has more than 10,000 lines of code. So we just reduced the code base by 34-fold. You can use alternative authentication methods such as ZK proof based on decentralized identities. You can have interchain accounts, right? You commit your transaction on a separate chain, and then on the current chain, you just provide a proof. That works. You can have application-specific accounts, right? We can have a trading-specific account that has slippage tolerance built into it, so you never have to worry about computing slippage on the front end. And the last example I want to give is credit accounts, right? So credit accounts allows you to borrow from a lending protocol without depositing collateral into it. And to achieve this, we must ensure a health factor on the account. So if the user does an action that brings the account into an unhealthy state, the account must be able to reject the transaction. And we can do that using smart contract accounts. If the account goes into an unhealthy state due to other reasons, such as price changes of assets, we need to implement a liquidation mechanism. But because our account is a smart contract, we can program that in as well. We currently have a different implementation of credit accounts at Mars Protocol, not using smart contract accounts, but using NFTs. But my colleague Gabe has posted this article on our forum proposing a migration to smart contract accounts. And in his estimation, we can shave off 60 to 70% of code from our smart contracts. So that's a huge simplification of the protocol. The biggest drawback, of course, is that we need wallet support. The user experience of smart contract wallets are quite different from traditional wallets. So we need to work with wallet teams to make this possible, to bring this to users. So if you are building a new chain, if you're building wallet applications, if you're building front-end applications, I want to talk with you. I want to work with you. So yeah, please reach out if you're interested. Thank you.